thanks a lot for organizing this lecture series this year too, and for inviting me to participate. My presentation is about the artistic initiatives developed by a group of undocumented migrants in the city of Liège as tools to perform their political participation in the city, and in doing so as tools to acquire informal citizenship in a context where they are not allowed formal ways of participation. And we will see some examples of these initiatives throughout my presentation. So to put the framework, the empirical material that we will study has been collected within the framework of a research project called EuMIGS, which was funded by the Belgian Federal Policy Office. And this project was aimed at studying the public opinion towards asylum seekers and refugees with a European cross-national perspective, so comparing different countries first. But second, there was also a focus on Belgium, and so with the aim to analyze the polarization of the public opinion and studying the pro and anti-refugees actions at the local level. And the idea was also to study the asylum seekers and refugees' perception of Belgium, its asylum system, and its reception policies. We took into this project a set of case studies as examples and across the three Belgian regions, and we chose these. We have chosen these case studies based on a temporal logic. So we chose some centers that were open before the so-called refugee crisis of 2015. So these are old centers. Then we selected some centers that opened after the refugee reception crisis, and so to respond to the new needs of that moment. And then we also select some locations where there were no formal reception centers, but there were some initiatives supporting refugees in different legal stages. As far as I'm concerned, so one of the case studies which I was in charge of was Liège. And more particularly, here I was studying the mobilization initiatives developed around a group of by a group of undocumented migrants. So there was no formal reception center, of course, for this category of migrants, but and I will explain in details how this happened. These people were living in a building, and so they created a kind of reception center in a way, which was a bottom-up created in a way. And so I did some fieldwork there between 2017, November 2017 and May 2018. I conducted a set of semi-structured interviews, mostly with people supporting this collective or working in association and so on and so forth, while I did also some participant observation of the meetings, the workshop, the training session, and all the initiatives developed by the group of undocumented migrants. And so my main axis of action, well, the main axis of action of the collective, and so my main action of research were first of all the everyday issues that the group faced, and second, the social, cultural, and political participation and claims, and the ways in which the group developed this. So just to give a few more details about the methods and words that I use in this presentation and in the research. So my research was conducted with members of this collective, which is called La Voix des Sans-Papiers de Liège, so which means the voice of sans-papiers, so undocumented people in Liège. This research has a participatory dimension, first in terms of field research. So I did participate, for example, in the workshop that I was also observing, and other initiatives organized in the city, but also it is participatory because most of the visual materials that also I will present into this presentation, have been co-created together with the members of this collective. So the way in which I use the word undocumented, so translating sans-papiers, I use it first of all as an EuMIGS word, which is used by different social actors in the field, including migrants themselves, that then reappropriate it as a tool to claim rights. And we can read the quote here from one of the founder of the collective. So it says, "We were united for a cause so that undocumented migrants as such can assume their undocumented status and claim it loud and clear and say, I'm undocumented, so I'm sans papier, because it's not a crime. People hide from the fact that they are undocumented. It's the system that makes you undocumented. And if you really want to fight, you have to start by diagnosing yourself." So the intention here is really to use the word sans-papier, undocumented, to start the process of claiming. And so that's why also the collective has been called like that. And so I do use this word in these terms, but also, as we can see also in this quote, which recalls the theorization of Nicolas de Genova about the process of illegalization, irregularization of people. So here it is clear that undocumented is also used as a situation which is produced by the norms regulating migration in the city and more generally in Belgium. So the collective VSP, as I will call it from here, it was created in 2015, initially from the occupation of empty buildings. And and the first initiatives were devoted to the response of basic needs of people who needed a house, somewhere to live, and so to respond to their basic need. But then this shifted to more concrete tools of political mobilization, as we will see. And this collective is supported by a network of social actors working and operating in the city of Liège, which are called the soutiens in French, so which means people supporting the collective, which in a way open some local networks and gives some opportunities to create some exchanges with the local social actors. And so they function as mediators, let's say, to some extent. So as soon as the collective started to also develop some initiatives of mobilization, we see that the forms that this mobilization can take are diverse. So the group participates in local social, cultural and economic life, work, of course it's informal work, but also training, education, and various initiatives, as we will see. They also organize and participate in protests and claims. They organize workshops and artistic workshop, and they develop artistic creation, and this is something which we will focus on in this presentation. So it is also interesting to have a look at how the collective moved across the city. So the first occupation, you see it in the bottom, it was a bit outside the city, let's say, and there the main, as I was saying, the main objective were really to have somewhere where a group of people, a small group of people at that time, and then it became bigger, could live. Then the collective moved to a second occupation, the second building, which, as you can see, it's more central. And then here, all the members of the collective were living together, but at some point, the women with children were moved to a third occupation, which was really close to the city center. So this geographical move from the outskirts of the city toward the city center also corresponded to a shift in the priorities of the collective. And so no more, and not only, still, but not only response to basic needs that were not met in other ways, but also really developing tools for participating in city life and also for claiming rights. Just to give some some contextual information about the city of Liège. It is considered, well, by me and some other colleagues, as a sanctuary city for a set of reasons, which are connected to action, but also to discourse developed in the city. So we have to mention that Liège is seen as a historical site of migrations, which has shaped local discourses on multiculturalism and anti-racism. We can read the first quote on the left of the mayor of Liège that I interviewed during the research, who says the history of this, the welcoming political approach, and we will go back to that a bit later, is ancestral in Liège. Liège is first and foremost a country and a positive and inclusive identity. We have an identity that has always been influenced by crossing and migration, connected with science, work, and so on. Thus, foreign people are not viewed negatively here. I have the feeling that we see this more as a contribution to the workforce, to knowledge, to culture, to gastronomy, and so on. So the state of mind is that of an open nation. So this is very much the discourse which is much present in Liège, and that is also in connection with the recent initiative, which is that of the City of Welcome, which allows to position Liège as a sanctuary city, so as a city which acts as a space of resistance. He moved alone, as a space of resistance to the restrictive approach of state migration governance. And this happens in a context where migration is governed through a multi-level approach. Another important thing that we have to mention regarding the context of Liège is that there's also a discourse and a rationale of the claims, which is connected with the idea of struggles being transversal to different categories of people in the city. We can read the second quote. We try to focus on the universality of the struggles to implement actions that involve unemployed workers, unemployed Belgian people, and also asylum seeker or elderly Belgian people that have a small pension, or young people, and so on and so forth. We try to bring together groups that a priori do not meet or could have negative discourse, stereotypes, or prejudice. The idea is to understand that the origin of the alienation or exploitation stems from contemporary political condition and so on and so forth. So this is the responsible of an association that really explain how the transversality of the struggle function and is also reappropriated by migrants themselves in their claim in the city. These images represent a set of initiatives that are developed by the collective La Voix des Sans-Papiers de Liège, the VSP, so to sensitize the local population, to create networks, and also to claim rights, of course. So starting at the top right, we see a sewing workshop that allow women to produce and then also sell their different kinds of products. Then going to the right, we see the writing workshop, which has led, I'm sorry, 1 second, that has led to the creation of different artistic products, such as theater plays. Then we see the culinary workshop or food workshop, so that was also for the preparation of some table d'hôte, but we won't talk about that this time. And a set of other initiatives such as open doors and training and then participation to local events. So we will focus a bit more on the artistic workshop and creation, which are connected with painting, writing, but also audiovisual, products, exhibition, theater plays, and documentaries. So here you see pictures that come also from the Facebook page of the group, which show different of these workshop and the people also that have developed them. We don't have time to look at the video, but there are documentaries which are available online and that explain this kind of initiatives, how they have been created, and also they give voice to some of the participants, so don't hesitate to give a look, or maybe during the discussion, we'll see. I put here some, so one of the theater play, which is, sorry, this one, les sans, so which means those who are without, is built around a set of words, playing with the word sans, so without, and playing with the word 100, which in French is similar, so sans. And so you see here how these words have been once again reappropriated to develop an artistic tools that allow to claim, or at least to sensitize to the situation of undocumented migrants and then to claim rights. So we can take some of them. So undocumented migrants, first of all, sans papier, without documents, without rights, homeless, no income, no spouse, without dreams, and so on and so forth. And then with the word 100, so the challenges that people face. So 100 problems, humiliation, experiences, insults, trips, barriers, and so on and so forth. And this is part of the theater play that has been developed and that has been played in different theaters, both in Liège and in other cities in Belgium. Just to give you some other examples of this kind of initiatives here, it was a festival in the neighborhood of Quant in Liège, where there are lots of villas that have been opened to artists to showcase their products, their artistic creations. And so with the group, we occupied one of these buildings, which was empty at that time, and we created a set of artistic installations, such as the first one, so where we can hear on the left, where we can hear the story of the history of migration of women involved in the collective. And then the second one in the park of the villa, we can read the question without answers, so that I've put also here. So it's a set of questions that the group asked themselves, but where there is no answer in a way. So for example, why do so little sharing of our wealth? Why do we do so little to welcome the men and women who flee their countries because they are hungry or persecuted? Why doesn't Belgium give them the papers, and so on and so forth? So here, the experience of exile throughout this workshop is transformed and communicated through the artistic work. So the artistic work has a message, but also, of course, it still has an aesthetic value. Often these initiatives are supported and facilitated by professional artists or people that are professionally trained to moderate this kind of workshop. But also art encourages exchange and knowledge of the others. So the workshop, as I was saying at the beginning, are always involving both members of the collective and members of the local population. And so art is used to make visible the individuals themselves. So within the festival, it was the villa where the VSP was exhibiting their artistic workshop creations, and so making visible also the inequalities that they experience. And we can see a couple of quotes to explain how this is also how this function also in the words of the people concerned. So with a cultural and artistic approach, they produce something that is meaningful and that will resonate with an audience. And one of the members of the VSP says, this allows us to talk about us, the undocumented immigrants who exist. So it's really a way to giving visibility. A couple of other examples. This is a painting by a member of the collective, which represents the immigration office. So this is the queue of people waiting to enter and make their demand. And what is interesting is also that these whole processes of artistic creation are often documented by another member of the collective who is in charge of the audiovisual workshops and is a professional documentary and filmmaker, but who cannot work formally here. And so he also produces some documentary showing all these processes and also functioning as a memory in a way of the activities of the group. A last example, so the theater workshops that have been organized with the Theater of Liège around the character of the clown. So to use, in a way, humor to reverse the position of marginality that people are of this group are living, and so putting this on the stage, putting their history on the stage through the character of the clown. It's interesting because this character, theater character, allows to express the life experience of people, not only through discourse, but also through the body, through the senses, and through different cultural codes that are used within the very specific way of performing of the clown. We can see here a dialogue between the professional theater player that was managing the group, that were on the workshop, and one of the members of the VSP, so who becomes on the stage a clown, who has a different name, but who can talk about what he wants. And here he talks about his life, but by saying this as if it was a clown on the stage once again, and so transforming also the way in which this is said by using the humor. And so the professional artist said, "Do you have anything important to tell us?" And the member of the VSP says, "I'm tired." "Why are you tired, Tony?" "I'm illegal in Belgium." "Explain." "I'm undocumented." "Oh, so the nose is a sign of an illegal immigrant," and everyone laughs. So here is a way of using humor to denounce the situation, and to reverse in a way. So people are talking about themselves directly. So here there's a video, but we won't have a look at that. Because the clown, it's given birth in a way. So there's also a creative process of the person becoming a clown. And so letting out, let's say, his or her own personality, but becoming a clown who is also based on the history of the person, herself or himself. And so there's really a process, a bodily process, which is developed to become someone else, but still anchored in the life experience of the person concerned. And once again, there's also, and this is also available online, but on request, a documentary narrating how this process of creation in uncomfort function. Okay, so to conclude, I hope you're still there because I don't see you anymore and I haven't heard anything. Anyway, so to conclude, here we have seen some of these initiatives that allows the political participation in terms of political expression and of claiming rights through the performance of arts, where there is no access for these people to other forms of participation, and most importantly to formal tools of participation. Of course, they encounter restriction of freedom of expression, so there are spaces that are open to these people to perform their theater plays or whatever other theater or artistic creation, but others are not, and they cannot move freely across the country, and of course they cannot also go out of the country. And so the restrictions are also on the freedom of movement and travel. This happens where people face the challenges of not being able to work in formal ways. And so this is, again, a way of creating forms of participation in the social, cultural, but also economic life of the city. And then from there, so with this political dimension of artistic practice arts also becomes a political tool. So the idea was also to conceptualize this process as tools to create informal citizenship through arts and culture. And it could be interesting to develop this further by thinking about how these activities allow the creation of subjectivities in a specific urban context through some cultural and artistic processes, but let's say that are constrained also by the local, by the situation of being undocumented. So a last couple of quotes. Artists then see as a channel for our struggle, people who listen to us and can make us heard more. And so it's seen as, again, as a tool of visibility, but also of making people be heard. And then we need context. Every time we do the play, it's like having a job interview. We have to give it our all. So it's also seen, these activities are also seen as a way of creating networks and establishing possibilities of further development of activities, also work activities. Okay, I think I'm finished. I will stop sharing, so I see you all.